Everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to play CafeDrop, another Undertale dating sim from itch.io. Let's begin. Chapter 1. The doorbell announces the arrival of, or departure of people at the CafeDrop cafe. This place was quite busy due to the wide variety of coffees, cakes, and sweets. But its increase in clientele was something relatively recent, thanks to the efforts of the employees. Among the activities we did reach other audiences were home delivery and event services. The cafe would prepare a large buffet chosen by the customers, which we served during or after galas, meetings, or events. I guess it's the first way to go in to get it. However, this time it was a chance to land a much bigger contract, an important one that would guarantee the cafe's resounding success. I was the one in charge of representing the cafe, me, Cross. This is a golden opportunity. I can't afford to make mistakes this afternoon. I need to breathe, relax, and breathe again. I knew it sounded ridiculous, but even though it was my first time as a representative, I was nervous as heck. It was an event agency, so signing a contract with them meant they'll have us for their own events. Our cafe was just one of the locations in this brand's chain, but each one operated independently to grow on its own, relying only on investments from the parent company. We sold out. I've been working here ever since I started my career, so every achievement meant a lot to me. Already zoning out? I mean, the parent company could change stuff on us. A hand hovered in front of my face, bringing me back to my senses. Maybe it was my anxiety, but I hadn't felt my coworker's presence in front of me. Dust, what are you doing here? I had just left the cafe, getting ready to attend the meeting, and it wouldn't take long to get there using public transport. What do you think? Since you're useless at driving, I have to be the chauffeur. Oh, I'm not useless at driving. I didn't ask you to be. And you think I want to? Our colleagues pity you, and since I'm the only one with a car, they forced me to help. This was Dust, who also worked at the cafe. He handled all the money there. So the cashier, the fancy finance guy. We had never gone along very well. We could talk normally, but we rarely shared breaks or exchanged words when we were in the same room. But somehow, there was a certain trust in the fact that Dust had no problem being rude to me. Well, I can take advantage of the time to prepare. If you perform like you did in the interview, in your interview, I'm sure you will have the deal sealed in the first minute. I'm gonna go and ignore him. I decided to ignore his teasing. After all, I won't gain anything by arguing with him. Dust doesn't assist any further and headed into the parking lot to get his car. I followed him without saying another word. I had to use the remaining time to prepare for the meeting. After a few minutes of driving through an almost deathly silence, we arrived at the event agency. The venue was obviously very spacious. The building served as a venue for prestigious events, which made making a strong first impression crucial for the guest. I think I convention center when I see event area. As I step out of the car, I caught a quick glimpse of Dust. Doing the same. Hey, what are you getting out for? Oh, sure. I'll just hang out in the car the whole time. Of course I'm coming with you. It's 100+ degrees out. And this way I could also make sure you don't lose this contract. Looking like that? At least take your coat off. Dust was always wearing that coat. He never lowered the hood, even while at work. I had never quite understood his obsession with presenting himself that way. Every situation was different, and right now, looking presentable was crucial. They're not going to faint just because I have a coat on. Always take the hood off. Start walking. Ugh. We went to the reception, and the attendant guided us to the meeting room. The building was solely owned by the agency, unlike our premises. They were offices of other entities I've never gone to know from second floor onward. We took an elevator up to the third floor, and the skeleton was waiting for us in the entrance. Last nightmare. His outfit was formal and more suited for administrative work than practical task. The green vest he wore under his jacket was the only exception. He looked almost like a manager of the entire agency. He had an aura of importance, and was clear he would be the one to decide on allegiance. And that only made me more nervous. If I messed up with him, the cafe would be history. He must be the one from the cafe. Good thing he arrived on time. Showing up 10 minutes late wouldn't leave a good impression. That's why we got here 10 minutes early. The stranger fell silent for a moment. I had to hold back the urge to smack Dust. This was no time for his mouth, especially not in front of the agency top Mongol. Sorry for my partner, Dust, sir. I'm the representative for the collaboration between both companies. I'm Cross. The agency's top magnet shifted. The agency's top migrant shifted his gaze from me to Dusk, then back to me. He soon introduced himself, addressing me directly. I'm Nightmare, the person in charge of the contest your cafe is part of. Please come into the room. Cross and Dust. I glanced discreetly at Dust with his hands in his pockets. Didn't even bother by their indifferent tone. It was his only comment before entering. I flew after him, and have the misfortune of seeing him adjust his hood before entering the meeting. May the earth swallow me. The room was spacious, with a rectangular table in the center, surrounded by chairs. A typical office meeting room, but it had a charm thanks to the large window at the back. Nightmare sat in the chair, assessing his position. Asserting his position. I took a seat next to him to stay attentive, while Dust sat 2 seats away, keeping his distance. I can't complain. He only came because I couldn't get around. This was supposed to be my official business. Nightmare started talking. As you know, we are an agency specializing in events of various types: corporate, executive, educational. Lately, we're faced complications with buffets and cocktail services due to the challenges of hiring staff for every single requirement: bartending, service, prep, chefs, cleaning, etc. That's why we opened a tender to establish a more solid cooperation with experienced event companies. Yes, that's why I'm grateful you considered our cafe, sir. I don't remember reading anything about cleaning services in the contest. Interfere. I couldn't believe what he was saying. I raised an eyebrow and looked at him with disdain. Dust, the tender clearly stated that different companies will be hired. The claim service isn't our responsibility. It's important to clarify, you never know. Well, Dust, read. We could be recorded, and once we sign, we're done for. Nightmare cleared his throat to interrupt our argument. I shrugged automatically. We're not recording, for your peace of mind. In that case, we'll be in a disadvantage since we need your permission to record. Cross is right. You won't be handling the clean service. It stayed silent, but Dust shot me an annoyed look. Sorry, Dust. I tried to resist joining his tantrum, but I just curled my toes, hoping it would help me calm down a bit. Nightmare continued the meeting. He explained that in order to decide amongst the selected locations, there would be a second stage that consisted of participating in events organized by the agency. This included payment, so there's no problems. As a cafe, we had to offer a buffet that met the customers' expectations. We had to make an effort to give the best impression. What if they want, seafood? The meeting continued without major setbacks. Before signing for the service of 2 upcoming events, we went to see the floor where the buffet would be held. The hall was well lit, and there were several tables placed throughout almost all of its space. There were other tables that stood out for being longer, probably used for setting out appetizers. Nightmare entered the hall, pouring out the exits and the staff service. I tried to pay attention to the details. On those tables, there could be many kinds of cakes, and on the ones in the back, the cookies. What about stuff that's not, like actual food, like sandwiches and all that? And near the wall, the drinks, so the staff could just walk without bumping into customers. During my visual inspection, I spotted the elf in the room. At the far end of the hall, there was a stage with someone standing upon it. Unlike Nightmare, his aura was much more charismatic, even though his eye sockets were completely dark. There was a certain skeleton who could hide their pupils. It was very eerie ability. At least, I'm not able to do that. The guy on the stage realized I was watching him, running down and approached us. Nightmare stopped his explanation when he heard the echo of his fall and footsteps. He's Killer, our event coordinator. Hi, are you from CafeDrop Cafe? Nice to meet you. Only 2 locations past the first filter. Yes, that's right, sir. Thank you very much. I'm Cross. It's also an honor to be here. His tone of voice was very friendly and energetic, contrary to Nightmare's. Killer approached us and offered a hand, which I took. And contrary to his name, too. You'd think that would be dark and brooding, too. He then did the same with Dust. He was not as eccentric as not as enthusiastic as I was, but did not refuse to shake his hand. Don't be humble, Cross. The fact that the boss chose you means you have a lot of potential. What can I say in front of that? Of that? Thank you again. I didn't think it was like that. Thank you again, sir. Some can and others can't. That's how things are. So I hope you can do a good job. We'll do it. Don't worry about that, sir. No need for sir. We're colleagues on the same level. Even though Nightmare's the heir to this whole agency. Don't start. The boss? I'm sorry for the trouble. Ridiculous. It was a joke. He only the head of the corporate events department. Oh, now I'm what's embarrassed. I'll excuse this guy. He organizes events that has the role of a pastry chef. I'll excuse this guy. He organizes events but has the role of a pastry chef. We all automatically looked at Dust after that comment, and then Nightmare and Killer turned their heads to me. Nightmare must have known my position since our branch manager had informed him that the representative was just a pastry chef with a higher rank. Even so, I knew with curiosity about what he will answer. Even so, I see it with curiosity about what he will answer. What can I say in front of that? Thank you again. I didn't think it was like that. Thank you again, sir. Some can, and others can't. That's how things are. So I hope you can do a good job. We'll do it. Don't worry about that, sir. No need for sir. We're colleagues on the same level. Even though Nightmare's the heir to this whole agency. Don't start. The boss? I'm sorry for the trouble. Ridiculous. It was a joke. He only the head of the corporate events department. Oh, now I'm what's embarrassed. I'll excuse this guy. He organizes events that has the role of a pastry chef. I'll excuse this guy. He organizes events but has the role of a pastry chef. We all automatically looked at Dust after that comment, and then Nightmare and Killer turned their heads to me. Nightmare must have known my position since our branch manager had informed him that the representative was just a pastry chef with a higher rank. Even so, I knew with curiosity about what he will answer. Even so, I see it with curiosity about what he will answer. Defend oneself. I turned to him and crossed my arms, demanding answers. This man was already giving me way too many headaches. For once, we were both in this, and the first thing he did was hurt the pride of my profession. You really make being a baker look like a bad thing. He cracks the eye socket, his red eyes glaring at me, and he spoke sharply. No. I froze in my seat, and only snapped back to Rowdy after a few pats on my back. It was Killer. It gave me a reassuring smile. Don't worry, Cross. This is your name, right? This contract isn't hanging by a thread because of how you speak. Right, boss? Nightmare raises both eyes when mentioned. He's been silently observing us with more intrigued expression. But he didn't seem annoyed, honestly. I was more surprised that his expression had changed after so long. Certainly. Thank you. That assures me a lot. Dusk shrugged at the tension. I was thankful that he didn't escalate. But I was quite annoyed that he behaved this way. He's gonna have a strong lecture while we were in the car. Was he supposed to be part of the human resources? Why was he so grumpy? Probably because he's human resources. Did he want to feel... Wait, he's human researchers or finances? Did he want to fail this tender? If we win, our cafe could take off and have more resources to grow. To be fair, where I work, the human resources guy is actually sweet, but I've heard horror stories. Anything. Just like you're an event organizer and pastry chef, I'm the event organizer and host. I usually keep the crowd entertained. This stage is my playground. Killer had been leaning against the stage as we talked. It was a platform that reached his shoulders. Kaylor gave the platform a few pats. In smaller events like ours, the ones talking at meetings are usually the clients, and we provide the food. This must be your favorite spot in the room. If it were up to me, I would never leave the stage. Well, we were talking. Nightmare and Dust stepped away to the staff room. So this was a perfect chance to get to know my future colleague. I didn't need to plan the conversation. Just started talking, sitting back on the stage. It's always interesting to meet new partners. Your teammate Dusk. He's quite direct, isn't he? Something like that. He works in human resources, but he was finance. Oh, that makes sense. You clearly have different departments. Of course, being pastry chef takes precision, creativity, and talent. I saw the dessert sketches you brought for the Tinder night. Would never admit, but he ate all the tartlets when no one was looking. Really? I thought he barely tried anything. Carter leaned in, lowering his voice. He had to move closer to catch his whisper. Nightmare has a perfect poker face, but I've known him for years. When he says it was fine, it really means it was delicious. That is good to know. He straightened up again, fingers interlaced, his coat stretched behind him, and his former shoes clicked softly against the platform. A brief silence fell, nothing awkward. Hey, can I ask you a personal question? I was expecting that. Depends on how personal it is. Do you care a lot about the Tinder? I saw your eyes light up when you looked around the place, even from here. I patted the stage. I swallowed hard. Is this some kind of test? I already told you. It's personal. Don't worry. It won't affect you at all. Be fully sincere. The cafe where we work has been my refuge for years. I started as a kitchen assistant, and little by little I found my place. At the same time, I started organizing events, though they were simpler responsibilities, like arranging my teammates and planning menus for each celebration. Not an official role like your event coordinator position. I'm not that born. Still, as a small branch, we've grown a lot, and this contest is a great opportunity. My words had come out so naturally that they sounded memorized. I hope he didn't notice that. Kaylor, to my surprise, softened his gaze. It's a noble gesture. The places that welcome us become part of who we are. Are you? Why this job? You seem to have talent for entertaining people. You mean you do that too? Oh, I love seeing people have fun. A presenter too. I do shows. It must be exhausting. I know, keeping that energy up all the time. Kaylor looked down at his knees. His dark eyes seemed to disappear for a moment, but his smile stayed. It didn't last more than a second before he shrugged, returning his usual expression. Like any job, right? Nothing a good coffee can't fix. Maybe one of yours will wake me up. If you want, I could bring you a coffee in a thermos on the day of the event. Ooh, you really do that? Sure, we're pals now. Pals, I like the sound of that. Kaylor stood his fist after saying that. It took me a moment to catch on, but I managed to bump this with him. It seems this little exchange went well. Alright, I won't interrupt anyone anymore. I got some stuff that needs to get done still. I'll let you get back to Crossboss. See ya. I mean, back to the boss. I nearly turned around completely to see where Nightmare was. I lost sight of him a while ago. He was right behind us. It was a relief not to bump into him or make eye contact over that silly action. He was just organizing some papers. So it was clear that Nightmare was used to Killer's behavior since he didn't react to his teasing at all. He came over to us once Killer left the room. Dusk was the one who signed the service contract for the next two events. Remember, it's paid, and it's the last test you must pass to secure the corporation. With that, we're finished. You can leave. Give me a moment to find our necessary documents for you, and we'll meet at the elevator. Thank you so much. Nightmare left us alone in the elevator lobby. Dust, on their hand, was staring at the numbers showing the current floor displayed above the elevator doors. It was either very focused or didn't want to talk to me. As for me, I felt unmotivated, even though this meeting was technically successful. It could have been gone much better. I'm really exhausted. It's been a mix of emotions I didn't even know how to process. My partner's behavior left a lot to be desired. We might have already been out of the running as a venue. I had to take the moment to address his behavior. Or simply say nothing. Nightmare could arrive or hear us fight. Say nothing. I wear stay silent. Aring won't let me. I wear stay silent. Aring won't get me anywhere. Now all that's left was to return to the cafe, deliver the good news, and put the moment behind us. What? Dust suddenly scrutinized me. He'd been staring at me like some weirdo. I didn't realize I'd been looking at him the whole time while thinking. No, nothing. I spaced out. I hope it's not contagious. Shut up. For a distance, the echo of footsteps could be heard. Someone was coming, so I decided to stick to my own rules. Nightmare arrived with a set of papers. We took them without issue and headed straight to the exit. Dust went straight to the parking lot to get the car. Gave me a moment along with Nightmare. So I wasn't sure if that was much of a relief, since Dusk was known to be a troublemaker. Nightmare was a friend or a foe? Nightmare, was he a friend or foe? Hopefully a friend. So far, he proven that he was very competent in his role. As a professional myself, I needed to show him competence as well. To protect what pride I had left. I hope the meeting was clear. Everything you need to know is in these papers. I understand that your partner signed on your behalf, even though you're the representative. But he insisted that you keep talking to Killer. I didn't know how to take it that. Maybe Dusk had been considerate, or maybe he just wanted to steal the credit from the meeting, just to tease me later. But that would be overthinking. I've known Dusk for years. He's not that cruel. Maybe today isn't his day. I had to be professional. I think we've been a little professional and unprofessional. It's fine, even though I'm a representative. Between him and me, it doesn't matter who signs. Dusk still holds an important position in the cafe. Nightmare nodded, maintaining a gaze that wasn't too intense, so I didn't feel overindulged. That piques my curiosity. So far, you're the event organizer, even if by contract, and it's appropriate for you to attend as a representative. But Dusk, as he told me, was just accompanying you. What brings him alone? Brings him along? It's not usual for a representative to be accompanied without prior notice. Final exam, just when I thought I could finally breathe, this happened. I swallowed. The answer was simple. I didn't know how to drive, but something told me that wouldn't be enough. I know how to drive. He looked like a man of experience, someone who stares at you, judges you, and says, Don't know how to drive. Blah, that's basic knowledge when entering the working world. Depends on where you live, too. And how far away from your workplace, too. Be professional, be professional. How do I escape the job interview question? A strategic response. Alright, so everything depends on this. Dust has prior experience with this kind of interrogation. At first I was coming along, but he insisted on accompanying me for logistical support, and that was convenient since I could review the key points along the way. Nightmare nodded, agreeing with what I said. Did you need a last-minute review? No, not at all. This cooperation is very important for both the cafe and me. My goal as a experienced event organizer is to make sure you're satisfied with our service. I hope so. That's why I trust you. His words linger on the air. His words linger in the air, loaded with meaning I could decipher. In fact, my focus on him shifted suddenly when the corners of his mouth curved slightly, as if inviting me to interrupt what he meant. Interpret what he meant. Well, it's like just try to be a scholar. I don't know. In me? You trust me? What exactly does that mean? You've proven to be interesting, Cross. And you haven't stolen anything from me yet. Let's say I have a good eye for recognizing potential. A shiver runs down my spine. There was something in his tone that suggested he knew more than he let on. In me, Nightmare trusted me. The conversation couldn't continue because Dust's car had stopped right in front of us. Nightmare raised a hand in farewell and went back into the building. I didn't know how to feel. We returned to the cafe in silence. Only the music from the radio played. Dust, just like on the way to the agency, didn't say a word. I couldn't bring myself to speak either. The car stopped in the lot next to the cafe, and soon Dust turned off the engine. So we have 2 events before securing the cooperation. Yes, read for the contract papers and then give them back to me. Dust unlocked the doors and made a move to get out of the car. I mimicked him. He didn't look that happy, which was normal. I had to hold him back in front of people far more important than us. And he's HR. It was necessary. Dust lit a cigarette. Don't wait for me. I'm taking my break now. Okay. See you upstairs. I continued up the stairs. Day didn't stop. I would take my time reading the contracts, and then continue with my work. The next day, we got more information about the first event we would be participating in at the agency. Dust had sent me the copy of the email containing the information. However, in his message, he also asked me to meet with management as soon as my shift ended at the bar. Bar? I thought it was a pastry chef. I was nervous the entire time. The management team consisted of a representative from a leading company, a store manager, HR, and the finance guy. So which one is he? Is it by just both? The rest were the pastry chefs, who also worked at the bar staff. I was among them, with additional responsibilities. In fact, I was the one who had suggested holding the events. It was an idea other branches of the company were adopting, so I thought we would explore this venue as well. I hope this is nothing serious. I feel terrible if they scold me for some bad behavior. But there was no point in overthinking it. I had to go and find out. The meeting went quite smoothly. The representative had heard about our progress with the event agency and congratulated us for getting that far. Other branches of the same company had also completed, but didn't succeed in any category. That's why the branch executives offered us more investment to showcase the best of the upcoming event, and for the same reason. They offered me a new position as official event coordinator, a role that could complement my current duties. And of course, I accepted. It felt like all my efforts were finally paying off. This afternoon, I'll buy a chocolate bar and eat it guilt-free as a way to celebrate this great achievement. Hey, are you sure about your choice? Dust appeared in front of me, bursting my bubble of happiness. He couldn't resist commenting. He had been silent throughout the entire meeting. I knew his words would differ from what the others said. Why wouldn't I be? Now I'm the one who can sign all the event contracts, not the boss. It's more responsibility. Isn't that what you usually do? Yes and no. You usually plan the activities and what would be served. But now you're responsible for attending and coordinating events yourself. Yeah, but if I ever do everything else, they didn't mention it to avoid scaring you, though it would be included in the contract they're preparing. Are you trying to scare me? I'm fine with that. No. Even if we win this contest, it won't exclude events from other clients. We'll have to increase production on many things. It's clear that financially we can handle it, but maybe your hands won't be enough, especially if you continue being a pastry chef and a barista. Are you just running the entire store? What do you do, Dust? What do you do? Let me remind you that you yourself agreed to keep all your responsibilities as head chef. How are you going to manage that? Magic. If what Dust said was true, I hadn't thought about it that way. We're increasing production, and we're growing as a branch, and that meant having more clients besides the event agency. Even the agency would demand more of our time, and smaller orders would become more complex to manage. But I had already made the decision long ago. If we want the cafe to succeed, we have to make sacrifices. I'm passionate about what I do. I enjoy baking, making coffee, and organizing events. If I need to stay later, I will. All right. Dust shook his head. I'll sign my part of the contract. I want to hear from you about your descent into madness. Go back to your post, dude. I'm not taking responsibility for this. You know that, right? I didn't ask you either. I'm an adult. Very dysfunctional. No, I'm not. I'm very functional. Dust shrugged and returned to the other side of the cafe. He worked at the register most of the time. That was finance and HR. But when he needed to perform his other task, he would head to the staff area on the second floor. He hardly ever went upstairs, so if I didn't go to the kitchen, I saw him every day. From the bar, all I could see on his personal notebook screen was a spreadsheet full of numbers. Did they even make any sense? I saw him return my attention to the customers arriving at the cafe. A couple of days passed and I got used to the new schedule that I had imposed on myself. My daily task involved arriving before the cafe opened to bake and decorate the cakes and sweets that had been left the rest of the previous day. The process would take hours depending on the day's recipes and the schedule delivering orders. Home deliveries weren't very frequent, but we had a regular client who especially liked my desserts. So in exchange for a bigger tip, I always baked his order. Baking was my favorite part of the day. I always loved making curry recipes, especially pastry ones. We opened at 9 to welcome the first breakfast customers. I didn't leave the kitchen until after 11, when my barista shift began. I would take the customers' coffee and sweet orders, record them, and hand them over to the cashier, usually Dust. Then I would take a break to return to the kitchen and restock what had been sold from the display case, as well as prepare new dough for the next day. I think we're just going to be working 24/7 with how we're doing it. I think I see a sweat dropper here. I share the job with 2 other people, with different shifts to keep the work flowing smoothly. Regarding events, I carved out the time for preparations, and during events we all took turns attending. So I hadn't always been at the cafe's events. Sometimes they were small buffets that didn't require more than 2 people. Although that might change from now on. As official coordinator, besides being responsible for everything, I have to make sure everything was in its place. Now that we're preparing for the event agency show, I had to work on my laptop in the middle of the bar for preparations, emails, and so on. And I couldn't touch the laptop again until the afternoon when I returned to the kitchen, so sometimes I had to stay until the store's closing time to be able to continue. It's been like this for 3 days, my spears including Dust. Hadn't said anything about my choices, since it was my own will to be in 3 places at once. Should just at least put someone else as barista. I have received help from all my colleagues in human resources, who have guided me in the use of budget spreadsheets, supplies, and administrative matters. I had to confess, it was very complicated, and I barely understood all the reports and tables I had to fill out. And that was fine. So far, I hadn't felt tired. Until... Ding ding. Huh? My laptop chimed, alerting me to a new email. It was from Nightmare, and we had exchanged a couple of emails about organizing and resource availability. Only 1 week left until the event. I have moved closer to the read, taking advantage of not having to attend to anyone. His email said we would have an in-person meeting and to settle the last few matters. I hope he doesn't make major changes. I already have several things ready. The door rang and we had to keep attending to customers. When I looked up, I was surprised to see Killer. I hadn't seen him since we met at the agency. Hey. What, Killer? What are you doing at the cafe? I've been curious about the taste of the cakes ever since the boss proved them. He has such a sweet tooth. They became picky about it. So I'm taking a moment to get his opinion. Ah, to the point of coming all the way here? Didn't expect to see me here, huh? If you want, I could leave and... No, stay, please. I just didn't expect to visit. Oh, I thought we were gonna go meet, Nightmare. The event is Friday. The event is this Friday. It's good to strengthen bonds between co-workers. If it does well for them, we'll see each other pretty often. But if they end up liking the sweets, we'll see each other often. Although I'm just be a customer. That's fine. I hope you enjoy whatever you order. Okay. Oh yes, I like just a medium vanilla coffee with 2 slices of cake. If I may recommend, you can choose matcha dessert. The matcha flavor one. Of course, I'll go with that one then. Next to the Oreo one, it looks really good. Kaylor waited while I prepared the coffee, and I took the chosen cakes from the counter. But I realized I had forgotten to ask him something important. I straightened up, noticing Killer was laying on the counter with his flawless smile. I forgot to ask you, Killer. Are you eating here or taking it to go? I'm eating here, at least seated and all. Is this your breakfast? Just a snack. I finished preparing the coffee and served it, along with 2 dishes and utensils. Killer immediately took a sip of his coffee, leaving a foam mark on his lips. Though before I could say anything, he had licked his lips. Ooh, this one's good. And I didn't even add sugar. It's a natural sweetness without overpowering the coffee. It's whole bean, right? I'm used to just drinking the supermarket ones. Me too. Now, dessert. I take advantage of the fact that no customers arrived to stay in the front of him, separated by the counter. First, he tried this one I had recommended. It's really good. Really tasty. He hadn't finished saying that when he was already shoving another piece into his mouth. I'm glad you liked it. It's really he said with his mouth full. He swallowed. Never thought that tea would be used to make cakes, too. And you make this here? Yup. Who baked it? I actually made that one. Well, I love it. Cross, you made for making the best desserts in the world. You're made for making the best worlds in the country. Whole country. Nah, it's not that big of a deal. But I appreciate it. Hey, Cross. Didn't you hear the door? There's more customers. It's true, I totally spaced. Don't worry about it. I still gotta eat that Oreo cake. Yeah, but... Enjoy your cake. Enjoy your cake, Killer. Thanks, good luck with your stuff. Killer kept his plate now with the Oreo one. I kept doing my own thing anyway. I was still working. I couldn't slack off. Killer finished the cakes after a while. He grabbed the check and headed to the register. There was Dust, hood up and super comfy in his seat. I couldn't overhearing their little chat when I kept working. Here's the bill. You're adding a tip? Haven't heard that in years. What's it for? Who's it for? Dust points at me, looking their way. For that poor guy? He has to wash his uniform every day because he can only afford one shirt. I gripped the cup in my hand, crumbling a bit in the process. I wanted to protest, but Killer laughed stopped me. Then make it 20% tip then. Why not 3%? Then you can even get a pen, though it won't have any ink. Fine, make it 50% then. Killer paid and left, leaving me dumbfounded by the saying. Dust went back to his usual expression, not even bothering to glance at me. Now I knew Killer could keep up with Dust's jokes. I hope they wouldn't become friends. Well, looked like I would be the victim. No, I think Killer would like us, though. The day of the meeting with Nightmare had arrived. We had only 2 days left until the event. We had enough time to prepare the ingredients and keep them fresh for the night. We had arranged to meet at the agency office. This time I could go alone, since Dust couldn't leave his post. The same receptionist had, as before, greeted me and led me to the third floor offices, where Nightmare was waiting in his suit. It felt like repeating the scene of our first meeting. Though now I felt calmer, there wasn't some scruffy guy tagging along just looking for trouble. And from what we discussed over the email, Nightmare had cared about the event just as much as I did. Morning, Cross. Morning. We haven't met in person since our first encounter. Makes sense. Why would we meet each other otherwise? Well, we've met Killer. Off the dot here. I wasn't sure if it was a good idea to mention that Killer already went to the cafe. Since Nightmare didn't seem like the type of person who mixed a personal life with work life. Don't talk about Killer. I said that because we're only discussed the event over email. Having in-person meetings makes dealing with things much easier. Nightmare stared at me for a few seconds. He was sitting in one of the chairs around the meeting table. He crossed his arms and legs, nodding. That's true. I've prepared face-to-face meetings. I prefer face-to-face meetings. Would you prefer more meetings like this for the next event? Though I have to adjust my schedule. I think I messed up. That would be terrible for me. Now how could I get out of this? Face-to-face meetings weren't convenient for me, since the whole process of traveling, meeting, and returning would make me lose over an hour. Nightmare cleared his throat, pulling me out of my thoughts. I don't think you like that decision. I'm not against it. It's just that... Yes, I figured it's the travel. The second event is in a month, so having at least two in-person meetings should be fine. What do you think? It's just one more. Given his instance, I had no choice but to agree. We started the meeting. We had no problems handling the several issues. Anyway, as the agency, they took care of most things. We provide the food and waiter staff. We need a place to the appetizers at precise times, serve the guests, and restock the tables when indicated. But knowing the client's preferences was precisely where Nightmare came in. In addition to organizing all the services, interruled and extraled the employees, managed the employees, deadlines and schedules. Also had the responsibility of adapting the client's preferences. He passed that information on to me so I could adjust the menu. If there were more changes, he would notify me by email. I know I showed you the place last time, but I only managed to show you your partner a few important aspects. Let's go to the hall again. Sure. I arrived at the venue. This time Killer wasn't there, and the tables were bright, light blue tablecloths. As I recall, the client would customize several aspects. That made me think how important were corporate clients. This is the only event hall, right? Yes. These tablecloths are for a graduation party, I think. Sometimes we have those 2 events a day. That must be chaotic. It is. Everything must be cleaned, changed, and organized in a very tight time frame. Although they are usually from different units, so dividing the work there allows us to be more efficient. It's amazing. I'm surprised our cafe has the privilege of serving this agency. Don't say it like that. It's our allegiance. In our allegiance, there's no superior. It's a cooperation among equals. You're just as capable as we are. Accept the compliment. Yes, what was I thinking? We've come a long way. We're being organized. Nightmare raised his eyebrows and stepped towards me. It's not for showing off either, but it's true. They have a good track record in events and flavors. Were you the one who tasted the cakes for the tender? Yes, they were really good. Talk about his taste for sweets. Always has a sweet tooth. I remember that Killer mentioned your sweet tooth. So you must have a skill in selecting a good cake. Nothing escapes Killer. But it's true. I'm not satisfied with just any sweet. Nightmare stopped at one of the tables to clean the crumbs. They were surely from another food company. I have tried many places. Only in one place have I felt the balance between sweetness and texture I'm looking for. So I congratulate you, Cross. He walked faster to the next place. I was somewhat dismayed. I didn't understand the personal congratulations. I understand the praise was because he found the perfect balance he referred to the art cafe. But it made no sense for it to be directed at me. Was Nightmare hiding something from me? He knows we've been making it. Or maybe I was just overthinking. Nightmare continued showing me some parts of the hall we entered the staff area, where we could leave our supplies during events. The back door was also there, so guests wouldn't see us entering with the trucks. Those final minutes were a bit tenuous, but at least we had finished. Nightmare accompanied me to the exit again. This time your partner isn't going to take you back? No, but it won't be a problem either. Problem came back. Nightmare checked his phone before speaking again. I could drop you off. I just have some errands to run elsewhere. Thanks for the invitation, but it won't be appropriate to accept. I hope to see you again soon. I extended my arm to shake hands. He accepted his gesture hesitantly. I hope to see you again, Nightmare. You could call me Night. See you on the day of the event. There isn't much time left. See you. Goodbye, Night. I went back to the cafe not much longer until the event. Chapter 2. And that was chapter 1 of CafeDrop. If you like content, please consider subscribing. If you're ready, comment down below and like the video. I'll see you guys next time. I'll do chapter 2 in another day.